In today's news, everybody has to pull up their socks, says Premier on public service. Government still has plans for Prospect Reef board to be engaged by Premier. Same-sex referendum coming to the public soon. Customs officials engage in endangered and cervical cancer awareness screenings. Well, viewers, these and more stories when 284 News return. Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here. My name is Kamal Haynes. Most of you know me from 284 News, but now you get to see me in a different light on my very own show called Health is Wealth. We have Joel Turnbull.
I don't want you to arch your back when you're pulling down.
Milton McLean.
First of all, right, your footwork.
Stephen Payne.
That was a 9 out of 10. I know you got the service down pat.
Steve Augustine.
You did a pretty hard workout today, so perhaps...
And as you can see, it's actually
you're feeling it.
Alonzo Boynes.
Taekwondo.
Adam Murrows.
I'll speak as if you're an absolute beginner.
I am an absolute beginner.
You are an absolute beginner.
And Seth Graham.
It bites. It will bite.
Get your water, get your fruits and veggies, and experience a wealth of knowledge about getting healthy. Welcome viewers to the Wednesday, May 3rd edition of 284 News. I am Kamal Haynes, bringing you the latest out of the British Virgin Islands. Well, leading today's news, Premier Dr. the Honourable Natalia Wheatley has assured the public that this term of the VIP government will be a productive one. But this as he informed the public of his intentions to demand results from the public service and to hold senior public officers accountable to delivering on the mandates of their respective ministries.
We have to build a system that is able to execute ministerial mandates more efficiently and more effectively. So one thing I'm going to do with this administration, not just for agriculture and fisheries, but just for everyone, we're going to have regular meetings with the deputy governor and the permanent secretaries, and we will hold them accountable to delivering on the mandates of ministers.
As summarized by Wheatley, what members of the public can expect is a lot of action.
It's an experience like no other, going before the electorate and having to explain to the electorate why certain things were done or not done. And really, that's something that elected officials have to do. But we need persons who work within these various ministries, who work hard. They are hard workers. But there's certain things that we need to do to ensure that they are able to deliver the ministerial mandates. And these are mandates given to ministers by the people of the Virgin Islands. So you could expect a lot of action because we're not going to expect any less. And we're not going to accept any less for the people of the Virgin Islands. This 4-year term is going to be a productive term. And we're going to demand results for the people of the Virgin Islands.
While he spoke on the matter, the Premier was confronted by a journalist for seemingly throwing senior public servants under the bus. Premier Wheatley said he was thankful for this challenge to his statements as it provided an opportunity to clarify his position on the matter. Well, he offered this response.
This thing is a partnership. You know, every mandate that I have, like I said, you said nothing much was done. Work was done. Work was done. People within those ministries did work. Am I satisfied that enough was done? No. So it's going to be a partnership. I'm going to support the permanent secretaries, the deputy secretaries, assistant secretaries, heads of department, every single person working in the public service. I will give them my full support so that they can do the best job possible. But we have to work together. And we have to hold each other accountable to ensure that we deliver for the people of the Virgin Islands. And that's my focus. My focus is not on blame. My focus is on getting the job done. And everybody, myself, ministers, everybody has to pull up their socks.
Well, according to the Premier, very soon officials will begin the process of converting the manifesto of the Virgin Islands Party into a government policy agenda.
They will soon initiate the process of converting the Virgin Islands Party manifesto, which has been mapped to the National Sustainable Development Plan, into a government policy agenda, which the public service will be tasked with delivering over the course of our term. The government's overarching policy framework is the National Sustainable Development Plan. Implementation of the plan will begin later this year, supported by the United Nations system in the Eastern Caribbean.
Our Premier Wheatley has promised to provide the details of this policy agenda in a subsequent statement. Moving on, viewers, where Premier Dr. the Honorable Natalia Wheatley has revealed that his government still intends on pursuing development at the Prospect Reef Hotel, stating that he will be engaging the hotel's board soon to have discussions on future plans. Premier Wheatley made a comment in response to a question posed by the media on Tuesday, where he said that a request for a proposal will be brought forth to the public very soon.
Very soon, I'll be engaging the Prospect Reef board on issuing a request for proposal for development at Prospect Reef. We see Prospect Reef as a hotel that can offer convention center services to our business community and assist our business community in being able to host meetings, conferences, etc. So Prospect Reef is a big part of what it is we are attempting to do, and the public will see a request for proposal very soon. And thereafter, once we receive proposals, the board will deliberate and obviously will choose who they believe is the best tenderer.
Providing clarity on the behind-the-scene developments since the last update in early 2022, Premier Wheatley made it known that there are presently no deals on the table as it relates to the state-owned hotel.
Nothing on the table. When the request for proposal goes out, anyone who is interested will be able to put forward a proposal, and they'll have a fair and transparent process to select a proposal.
In February 2022, former Premier Andrew Foy revealed that legal entanglements were preventing any developments from occurring on the property, which remains in a deplorable state. At the time, he said he had hoped that the legal issues was the last hurdle of legal battles with the Prospect Reef Hotel project, and said if it was, more promising updates would have been forthcoming to the public.
Prospect Reef seems to be an entangled weave. Every time you straighten out one thing with Prospect Reef, something else comes in. I would say that I say it in that parable because there are some other legal concerns that have been raised lately. So I don't want to say anything more about that until we pass that hurdle, which hopefully will be the last hurdle with Prospect Reef. We've made great progress, although it doesn't look that way in terms of physical movement. But there was a lot of legal entanglement and measures that we had to get past with Prospect Reef. Hopefully this is the last one. So I would answer it in terms of that. And if this is the last one, we should see some more, hear some more about the direction of it. But I do commend the board for all that it has to do, because the work that the board has done is not one that we can publicize, given that it was more of a legal nature with the legal issues that were involved with Prospect Reef in some areas. So based on that nature, we can't make that public as yet. But I'll just be able to tell you in a broad sense of what has been the case. But we'll get there.
Well, up next, same-sex referendum coming to the public soon, and customs officials engage in endangered. But these and more stories after a word from our sponsors.
Yo, everything good, Dad?
Aye. This thing got me one way, Daddy.
What do you mean?
Ever since I hook up with this thing, can't eat, I can't sleep. This is the first thing I touch it when I reach home.
What do you really? Hey, this thing like you know.
Dad, this thing got me staying home, keeping out that trouble me.
Wow. What your name is?
Shit. I talking about my city life.
Don't worry about missing your favorite series, sports, news, and local programming. Come to CCT today and sign up for CCT Live to access over 80 channels. CCT Live. Bring it home.
1 month free trial turn into 5. 5 months turn into, well, you know I hot. I watching ball. I been watching football. Dad, Nickelodeon, Paw Patrol. I am hooked. Hook, I tell you.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There the answer comes.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.
Is that my lunch? Is that my lunch?
We're like the coworker that doesn't eat your lunch.
I'm John. I'm John.
CG Insurance. Good like that.
Well, welcome back, viewers. Well, the territory's first referendum, which will be to decide on the matter of legalizing same-sex marriage in the Virgin Islands, will be forthcoming to the public very soon. Well, this is according to Premier Dr. the Honorable Natalia Wheatley, who did not reveal an exact date, but said the referendum will take place prior to the final ruling that will be made in the case involving locals Kenesha Forbes and Kristen Lettsome, which is scheduled to take place in June.
We want to do that actually very soon. As you know, we would be having I think there's a case which is slated for June. So we wanted to be able to have the referendum ahead of that. So that's one thing, of course, that is persons are going to be hearing about very, very soon.
Well, Premier Wheatley had previously stated that should the court rule in favor of the couple, Section 13 of the Matrimonial Proceedings and Property Act, which provides that marriage is void unless the parties are respectively male and female, will be declared unconstitutional and therefore be null and void. Well, due to such a decision being critical to the future development of the territory, Premier Wheatley said a referendum was needed to allow for the people's views to be made clear in an official way. Well, during a recent pre-election forum, Dr. Wheatley explained that the referendum will allow for the true opinions of locals to be made known to the United Kingdom and the respective courts.
What has been recommended to me as a means of strengthening our case is to be able to allow the people of the Virgin Islands to make their views known and clear as it pertains to their belief that marriage should be between a man and a woman. And the referendum allows you the opportunity to, in an official way, send that message to the court system, to the United Kingdom, and to whoever else in terms of what we want to see our community to be. We don't want the United Kingdom or anyone else or the courts to get into the business of making laws for the Virgin Islands. We believe that's the poor view of the people of the Virgin Islands.
Well, also during the aforementioned forum, Premier Wheatley stated his views on cultural imperialism, stating that he is totally against such practices as it can negatively impact the BVI culture.
One thing that I'm certainly against in our community is what we call cultural imperialism. This is where one culture wants to force their culture on somebody else's culture. And we in the Virgin Islands, we have a strong culture. We have a strong belief in God. We assert that we are a Christian community. And while we accept others, and while we certainly don't advocate for violence or discrimination against others, we are certainly firm in what we believe and what we want our culture to be. So of course we know that we have a legal case. And part of the purpose of this case, which has been brought against the government, which we are defending vigorously. We're defending marriage between a man and a woman. But we have a case where two young ladies got married in the United Kingdom, and they want to force the government to recognize their marriage, and they're asserting that our Marriage Act violates the Constitution.
Representatives from His Majesty's Customs were engaged in a two-day workshop on the Convention of International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. For more on this report.
Representatives from His Majesty's Customs were engaged in a two-day workshop on the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. The participants were trained in areas covering legislation, science, and enforcement aspects of the convention. Environmental Officer Argel Horton said CITES is an international agreement between governments with the aim of ensuring that international trade in specimens of wild animals and plants does not threaten the survival of the species. Ms. Horton added, and I quote, "The importance of the city's permitting system is to ensure that international trade of listed species in the convention are sustainable, the process is legal, and all specimens can be traced." Ms. Horton reminded the public that cities' permits are required to enter into other countries with animals, plants, or their byproducts that are listed under cities. Products and pets that fall under this list can be confiscated. Fines can be issued and or even arrest. Marine biologist Mr. Mervyn Hastings said the Virgin Islands has been a party of the CITES International Agreement since 1976 and has upheld the agreement with the 1987 Endangered Animal and Plant Ordinance. Mr. Hastings said, and I quote, "Now we have updated this legislation and we now have the 2020 Virgin Islands Trade in Endangered Species CITES Act. The Environment Unit continues to do its part as the city's authority within the territory to ensure that agencies such as His Majesty's Customs are well versed in the subject." He said, and I quote, "We encourage all persons that are considering leaving or entering the territory to familiarize themselves with the city's website to verify if the item they are traveling with is or is not considered an endangered species." Mr. Hastings added, and I quote, "If they are part of the endangerment species list, persons are asked to apply to the ministry for a city's permit." Participants were also engaged in interactive learning sessions during the workshop and also enhanced their knowledge about the purpose of the convention, its rules, and the legislations that aim to protect endangered species, as well as the enforcement aspects concerning the wildlife trade, which is governed according to the convention. Discussions also focused on identifying species, how they are listed in the city's appendices, rules around the issuances of permits, species that regularly enter and leave the VI that require city's permits include, but are not limited to, conch meat, conch shells, conch products, jewelry, pearls, etc., corals and coral products, pet snakes, pet parrots, and wild orchids. Now, persons wishing to apply for a city's permit may contact the Environment Unit at telephone number 1-284-468-2147 or by email at nrl@gov.vg. The Environment and Climate Change Unit is the local authority on cities, matters, and administration. It continues to effectively administer the natural resources of the territories in a manner that ensures long-term sustainability. Reporting for 284 News, Ron Grant.
Well, up next, Mrs. BVI Globe 2022 to host pap smear screening. Water supply restored to Road Town and nearby areas. And 19th annual 2023 Leverick Bay Poker Run returns. Well, these stories when 284 News return.
Introducing a show poised to help guide modern-day men into 21st century distinguished gentlemen. It doesn't always involve suits and bow ties, but raw, real-life lessons. I'm taking you outside in the field to share the journey of some of the BVI's the best and brightest men. From East End to West End, Virgin Gorda to Jos Van Dyke, not forgetting Anegada. Our Virgin Islands gentlemen are doing the damn thing. We are the movers and shakers of this generation. The Art of a Distinguished Gentleman. Season 4 by yours truly, Ron Grant. Raising a generation of greatness. Wednesdays at 8 p.m. on 284 Media.
Father Jesus, That line you long like church service.
Alright, you enjoy the rest of the day. Next customer line, please. Wait, hold on a second.
Yes, Sonny boy, come, yes,
Good
Sonny.
morning.
Good morning, Sonny boy. Hold on there. You must have cut front of people.
It's okay, I'll take care of it.
What? No man to take care of me.
How may I assist you?
Yes.
You want top of power?
You want top of power?
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top of power?
Welcome back, viewers, and thank you so much for sticking with us. Well, Dr. Arlene T. Penn, Mrs. BVI Globe 2022, is hosting a pap smear screening event in recognition of her platform, Cervical Cancer Awareness. Well, Penn, who will be representing the territory in June in Palm Springs at the Mrs. Globe International Pageant, has been continuously sharing her story of being a cervical cancer survivor.
18 years ago, cervical cancer would have affected my life, right? I learned that cervical cancer was aggressively eating away at my reproductive system. And in order to save my life, doctors would perform a radical hysterectomy. And for years, because it left me with a scar, so for years, I never used to tell people what type of cancer I had. I just said I was a cancer survivor. But then I read some statistics from the World Health Organization that some 600,000 women were diagnosed worldwide with cervical cancer. And that's in 2020. And then 300,000 women died as a result of cervical cancer. And I'm alive, and I'm worried about a scar, and I'm worried about people thinking about, something was wrong with her cervix or her reproductive system. I had to come out. I had to say something. I had to do something. Because if I'm alive, it means that early detection, it saved lives. So it means, therefore, that I have an opportunity to help women to know, fix, live, win. That's a theme I go by. Know now, you fix early, then you live life beautifully, fearfully, wonderfully, and then we can all win together. One of the things that, in terms of me finding out about the cervical cancer, there was a free pap smear screening that was provided, and that was done by BNF Medical Complex.
Additionally, she spoke about the importance of the event and shared details.
For women who couldn't afford at the time, and at that time I was in my early 20s, I couldn't afford. Now, here I am, 18 years later. I just wanted to give other women an opportunity.
The very same opportunity.
Because it was given to me. So I wanted to provide that opportunity to women. And you would remember that last year, I had a similar initiative where we had over 120 plus women who would have taken advantage of the pap smear screening. And I just want to thank all those women for just coming forward. So now we have it again.
Beautiful. And this is, of course, in partnership with Penn Medical Center.
Penn Medical Center, and it's the WIN BVI organization in partnership with Penn Medical Center. And we're all working together to make sure that we detect things early, so that whatever treatment you need, you can get all the treatment you need. We're actually partnering as well with the BVI Cancer Society as well, because I'm the ambassador for them, and I really thank them for giving me the opportunity to be that voice as well for cervical cancer awareness, because it's something that affects our lives, not just us, but the men in our lives,
of course,
the children in our lives, and if you don't have women in the world, then what?
Penn also spoke about the importance of community support in this regard.
What we want is to make sure that persons become very proactive. So we want persons to register today for the free screening, and registration ends on May 5th. The screening guidelines, ages 21 to 29, if you're sexually active and never had a pap smear, we want to see you. If you're age 21 to 65, sexually active, and you had no pap test in 3 years, we want you to sign up. The number we want persons to register at, that would be 440-4122. That's 440-4122. And once registered, right, once persons call, once you register, your appointment will be scheduled during the month of May, and you will also receive a free doctor's consultation at your appointment.
Incredible.
So we want to make sure that women, we take care of ourselves. My series is called the Celebrating Life series. That's what the No Fix Live Win means. Celebrating life. It doesn't matter what scar you have. Doesn't matter. Because the scar represents survivorship, that you've survived something, that the experience you have, you can actually share that with others. And I asked myself the question, what if those 300,000 women in 2020 had a scar just like me? Just like me. They would have been able to be here today to share their story as well.
The Water and Sewage Department has confirmed the resumption of water supply to Road Town and surrounding areas following the restoration of the Water Distribution Network's power service. Acting Director Mr. Brian Davies said in a statement, and I quote, "The plant is back online. However, water levels were completely depleted. To restore levels, a hard distribution shutdown was done to restore tanks, equalizing storage levels. A leak detection exercise was also done to pinpoint the major leak that impacted Road Town and the surrounding areas," end quote. Residents were reportedly left without water due to power outages that affected the distribution plant over the weekend and the discovery of a leak in the Road Town area. Well, moving on to our final story, where after a 3-year hiatus due to the COVID-19 restrictions, Leverick Bay Resort and Marina is excited to welcome all sponsors, participants, and guests back to the 19th annual Leverick Bay Poker Run on Sunday, 28th of May. One more on this report.
After a 3-year hiatus due to COVID-19 restrictions, Leverick Bay Resort and Marina is excited to welcome all sponsors, participants, and guests back to the 19th annual Leverick Bay Poker Run this coming Sunday, May 28, 2023. Organizers of the Leverick Bay Poker Run say they are excited to have new stops on this year's Poker Run, including Loose Mongoose and Sabre Rock, and that they are grateful for the continued support Pirates on Norman Island, Foxy's Taboo on Joss Van Dyke, and the Tortola Pier Park. Organizers say the event would not be possible without the support of these venues. The after party at Leverick Bay is powered by Mr. Nice Guy and begins at 5 p.m. with a fashion show, followed by buffet, drinks, and the prize-giving ceremony at 7 p.m. In 2019, organizers welcomed a record number of participants to the Poker Run, with approximately 150 boats in attendance and a crowd of some 2,000 guests at Leverick Bay, with more spectators at each stop across the territory. It is anticipated that 2023 will be an even bigger year, as everyone is once again welcomed back after a long hiatus. In an official comment, organizers said, and I quote, "An enormous thank you to sponsors and volunteers who generously gave their time. Sponsors, dollarship, and all kinds of gifts. Without them, the event could not happen. Volunteers Nick and Monica Willis founded the event in 2001.
Well, that's it for today's news roundup. Be sure to follow us for daily news updates at 284media.com. And like us on Facebook at 284media and 284BVI on Instagram and Twitter. I'm Kamal Haynes, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Have a safe and enjoyable evening. Bye-bye.
Rashford made it. Manchester United have come from behind to lead.
At home or on the go, watch CCT Live. Download our app and carry your favorite TV shows, news, or live sports anywhere you go. Visit cctbvi.com/live, select your package, and tune in.
Kids, let's go! Sean, what are you doing?
I solved it. We'll buy our life insurance policy from this company and then go over here and get our home insurance. Then get our motor policy from right over here.
Or we could just get everything with CG Insurance. Save a lot of money and effort.
They do it all? Even